Today's guest is a powerhouse of positivity and strength. She is an AC certified fitness instructor and a confidence coach who's flipping the script on what fitness should look like. As the founder and CEO of Loyobo, an empowering online community for women, she's on a mission to help you ditch that toxic diet culture and rewrite your own rules around health. Whether she's leading a dance party or cheering you on like your ultimate hype girl, she's here to make fitness joyful, freeing, and unapologetically fun. Let's welcome Courtney McCarthy.
What a good intro. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm glad you loved the intro.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So one of the first things I wanted to ask you was, what has your journey been like until this point, and what has led you to have such incredible confidence?
That's a great question. My journey has been one that has had, I'll say, like hills and valleys, definitely lots of challenges that I've had to overcome. But I think that is a big reason why I've been able to feel as confident as I do, because each challenge along the way, I've been able to prove that I can show up, that I can survive through that challenge and keep going. Whether it was, I owned a brick and mortar fitness studio during COVID. So that's an example of like one of those challenges that I had to face, or going through a divorce, or just all the trials and perils that come with being a small business owner. Has really contributed to me feeling like, okay, I've got this. I can face anything that comes my way. And yeah.
What was the craziest one? What was the craziest challenge where you felt like, damn, if I did this, I can do anything?
I feel definitely like COVID was a big multi-layered challenge.
Yeah.
Owning a brick and mortar studio at the time. And I was in a community that, much to our benefit, took lockdowns really seriously, but it meant my studio was closed like more than half of the first year that we were in COVID. So navigating that, and I was a baby entrepreneur at the time. We had only been open for 18 months. So navigating that and learning how to transition to online and dealing with all of the new requirements and regulations. And at the time I had a staff of 11 people. So it was definitely like a wild, like flying by the seat of my pants, learning as we go experience. But that being said, it also, two things. Number one, led to immense amounts of personal growth, but also led me to the online space, which is now what my business is 100%. And I'm so grateful for that, because I've been able to connect with women and people all over the world. I've had, now I have clients that are in the UK or in Los Angeles or in, Vancouver or Nova Scotia. Like I have people everywhere, which I'm so grateful for, because it never would have happened probably, or at least would have been like 10, 15 years down the line if it hadn't been for COVID. So,
That's crazy. Do you think confidence leaks between one area of your life to the other one?
Yes, especially it's something that I tell my clients and what we work with a lot. So obviously what I do primarily is surrounded with body confidence. So anything to do with that, whether it's the, health and fitness end of things, the mindful eating end of things, but also I feel like when you build your confidence in your body, that translates to being able to show up in your life in other ways. So most of the time when my clients are celebrating victories with me, it looks like things, one woman will tell me that she applied for a promotion at work because she now had the confidence of seeing her own worth and seeing her own value. Or maybe it's someone once applied for a model call because they felt comfortable and safe in their bodies and saw their own worth. So by building your confidence in your skin and how you feel and feeling at home in your body, it allows you to go out and do things in your life that you want to do. And I've experienced that myself. It allows me to show up and make memories and be more present in my relationships because I feel so at home in my own skin.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. When you were speaking about, feeling at home in your body, and you spoke about body confidence body image. You also spoke about wins that happen through the journey.
Yeah.
When someone's going through something like this, what should home look like for them in their body?
Oh, great
Eh,
question. So
It's
the
such a
way,
nuanced
yeah,
aspect. Sorry,
yeah, that's okay.
it's such a nuanced aspect.
Yeah. The way that I describe it is having an unshakable belief in your own self-worth. So this idea of my weight may change, the way I move my body might change, the way I experience my body might change. And yet I know at a very deep level that because it's my body, it has worth, it has value, it deserves respect, it deserves love. And so creating that stable foundation, many of us have experienced the yo-yo relationship with our bodies, right? We're like, okay, when we're eating well, quote unquote, or when we're sticking to a consistent movement routine, or when we're doing the right things, quote unquote, then we feel good. But then other times we'll feel all that shame and all that guilt that come in when we're kind of off the wagon. And so feeling at home in your skin means that you're able to adapt during those times and you feel certain of your self-worth, even if life looks a little bit different, or even if you're experiencing challenges or, a trying period, that you're like, it's okay, that baseline of feeling respect for your body and having that self-worth doesn't change. And I think the second part of it is really feeling comfortable with yourself, being able to see and appreciate different aspects of your body. We talk about radical acceptance in my community as well. So being able to look at yourself exactly as you are right now and see what's good. See the things that you appreciate or can appreciate. Even if there's things that maybe you want to work on or you have goals or what have you, you can still accept and appreciate where you are in that moment and feel, as I said, feel comfortable in your skin.
That's fascinating. When you say feeling comfortable in your skin, what I hear is it's not about specifically how your body looks or where you are on the journey. It's
Yeah.
about something deeper. And it's not like you're focusing towards the target, because the target seems very vague and it's
Yeah.
very subjective. How did you figure out, okay, what the target should be for myself? Because people, if they want to work towards something, they need to understand, okay, how I need to go towards something. And how did you set that target for yourself?
So some of the ways that I do that, I like to work with ability-based goals. So that means kind of looking at where I am now and what I can do now in my life and setting a goal based on what I want to be able to do. So that can look like things that other people may be able to relate to or understand, is like, I want to be able to get up and down off the floor without any pain or without discomfort. I want to be able to climb the stairs, climb a set of stairs without getting out of breath. I want to be able to walk or run a 5K, let's say. For myself as well, it was wanting to be mindful of and really reduce the amount of body checking that I did. So body checking is a phrase where it's when you kind of self-objectify yourself. So you're really focused on what you perceive others, or what you perceive your body to look like from the viewpoint of other people. So it's where, for example, like you're looking in the mirror and thinking, okay, how do I look in this outfit? You're, checking your skin for blemishes or imperfections. And you're constantly trying to be really mindful and aware of your body and what it looks like and the space it's taking up. And I really wanted to step away from that so that I could be more present in my body and noticing the experience that I was feeling and having with my body rather than focusing on what my body looks like. So those were some of my goals, is one that pertains a little bit more to the fitness and movement side of things. And then one that pertains to that, again, that feeling at home, which is, as you said, less focused on what my body looks like and more focused on what my body can do, how my body feels, how I feel in my body, things like that.
Yeah. We've all gone through this crazy journey, right? And as we're growing up, we're taught to look at our body a certain way. And we learn these things through someone else's lens. So someone else will come. I still remember the first experience I ever had. Until a certain point, I never considered myself, having any body image issues. Like, I didn't think about it in that way. And then there was this one moment where I was in a sports, I was playing football, right, with a group of friends. And this person just comes and just casually punches in my belly and says, "You're also growing one belly now." And that was the moment where it felt like, oh my God, is this what's happening?
Yeah.
And it was such a powerful moment because I still remember it. It still feels that it was this pivot where it happened that, okay, there's something that's happened. When you were going through your journey, did you ever, what happened where you felt like, okay, now this needs to change? And how did you keep that balance of, okay, I still want to be presentable. I still want to look and feel great in whatever way I want to be. Not to the point where it's becoming toxic, for a lack of better words.
Yeah. Two excellent questions. So the kind of catalyst moment for me was I was in a relationship, and it was my kind of first, I'll call it my first real adult relationship, long-term relationship, if you will. And I was so in love with this man, and my body was experiencing a change that most of us experience, which is the post-college university body change, where you're like, okay, I'm kind of living a real adult life. My habits, the food that I eat it was just all changing. And it was the time, if you're someone who identifies as a woman, you probably have experienced the moving in with a man body change, which I feel like many of us have experienced. And in that relationship, similar to your story, there was this really profound moment where he commented on my body, and he blamed my body for some of the issues that we were having in our intimate relationship. So in that moment, all of the past body insecurities, body issues, body image issues that I had, body dysmorphia that I had, really came to a head. And I became obsessed with losing weight. I became obsessed with changing my body and becoming desirable. I went through this wild transformation where I lost over 60 pounds. And I had what could be described as the perfect ideal body. I had a flat stomach. I was incredibly small, and I was getting compliments all the time. And I felt almost bamboozled because I had achieved this perfect body. The relationship had ended by that point. And yet I still felt more insecure than ever. I still felt like my self-worth and my value and my ability to be desired really was dependent on what my body looked like and my weight. And so it was this kind of aha moment where I had done what society had told me to do. I had, lost the weight. I was in this small body, and it didn't work. It didn't give me the confidence that I was looking for. It didn't give me the self-love that I had been looking for. So that's when I started to explore, okay, what else is out there? And then that's when I discovered the body positive movement and the anti-diet movement. And I started doing a lot more research about not just exercise psychology, but also the psychology of self-love, the effect that diets have, the effect of, intentional weight loss. And when I discovered this different approach, and which has led to my kind of massive confidence shift where, yes, I'm in a bigger body than I ever was before, but I feel so confident in who I am, and I'm able to show up in such a present way that I never was able to do in a smaller body. So that was like my really big catalyst for kind of where I'm at now. And can you remind me, there was a second part of the question that I really wanted to answer too.
Yes. How do you navigate the line
Oh, yes.
between
The
being
balance.
presentable versus just owning and being present? And it's okay if something's not okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to enjoy myself. How do you find that
Yeah.
line?
I think it's a really important topic because a lot of times the criticism that I'll get, especially online, is this idea that by subscribing to a body positive belief system that I'm somehow like promoting obesity or promoting that people don't care about their health or promoting that, you can kind of just like give up, so to speak, and eat whatever you want or not move at all or not go to the gym, which truly isn't the case. Body positive is, in my mind and in the work that I do, is more about respect and dismantling the systems of oppression that certain bodies face and dismantling this idea of a hierarchy of bodies, that some bodies are inherently more value or are more morally superior than others. So what that means is you can, of course, like we live in a society where appearances do matter. And of course, you want to feel good. You want to feel desirable. You want to look in the mirror and like what you see. So that shift, the important shift when you're healing your relationship with your body, and again, you're seeking that something deeper, to me is, am I doing this out of love for my body? Am I doing it because it makes me feel good, because it's coming from a place of kindness and respect? Or is it coming from a belief that I'm not enough, or a belief that I need this in order to be perceived as valuable? Am I doing this because I believe that my body is inherently flawed or broken? And when you're able to ask that question and differentiate that, it's an incredibly powerful shift. I'll give the example of like wearing makeup, let's say. Before, when I used to wear makeup, it was because I believed that I needed it in order to show up and be seen as good enough. So makeup was almost like a body armor in order to feel safe and secure in my body. I would never, I felt so unbelievably out of reach, the idea of showing up without makeup. So that was when I was using it because I felt the need to change my body. I felt that me appearing without makeup, I wasn't good enough. Versus now, when I choose to wear makeup, it's because I either like want to have fun with colors or different looks in my body, or because it's just something that makes me feel more professional or more polished, but it's not coming from that place of need. Like I can show up and do an interview with you, not wearing any makeup, and knowing that that doesn't change my ability to have a great podcast interview or to show up and have value. So it's a really interesting distinction. And when you're able to feel it, it makes such a difference, because then it's doing things, again, always from this place of love, rather than that constant need for feeling good enough. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. And something my wife said, I remember as you're speaking about this, I think the distinction that I'm catching as you're speaking about this seems to be whether you're doing it out of fear or
Yes.
whether you're doing it to get some joy. And
Yeah.
that seems to be the highlighted difference. If you're doing it because there's some fear, I need to protect something, I need to make sure something doesn't go wrong, that's your signal for, okay, you need to pay attention here. If you're doing it for, oh, this is fun, let me see how this works out, it's a more playful energy, then you're on the right side of the line.
Yes. Yes. Especially that word joy and that word play that you used, I think as adults are so important to seek out and explore in our lives, because I think that it's something that we have so much as a child, right? We're encouraged to play. We're encouraged to find our joy in the things that make us feel joy. And it's something that we kind of often lose along the way, especially in relation to like movement, let's say, that sense of play. We lose. And it's a key part to feeling confident is being able to connect with your joy, being able to play with your body and experience pleasure in your body, I think are like so important.
Yeah, absolutely. You also mentioned about an anti-diet movement. What is anti-diet? Because I tried to look this up and I'm still so confused about it. What is anti-diet?
So it has kind of a couple different prongs. The diet that we're referring to is two prongs. So one, it's referring to diet culture. So this idea again of the pursuit of weight loss or thinness at the cost of everything else. So this idea that being in a smaller body is somehow, more morally superior, more deserving of respect, more it's healthier, all of those beliefs that coincide with thinness and that result in the discrimination or oppression of different bodies. So whether that's larger bodies, Black bodies, Indigenous bodies. So it's unsubscribing from that belief system and really leaning into the idea, that all bodies are deserving of respect. Sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat.
Yeah.
There we go. So really subscribing to the belief system that all bodies are inherently deserving of respect, regardless of their size, their shape, their health status, etc. And the other prong of the anti-diet movement is recognizing and accepting the science that diets and intentional weight loss don't work. So there's a huge body of research that shows that 95% of diets fail, that more than 60% of people will not just regain the weight, but gain more weight than they lost within 5 years of beginning a diet. So rather than continuing to look to a solution that's inherently flawed and that doesn't work and doesn't give us the long-term sustainable results that we're looking for, like so many of us, have a long history of, myself included, have a long history of like failed diets or diets that worked for a little bit, but didn't work in the long run or something that we weren't able to stick to. So it's accepting that and saying, okay, diets don't work. Intentional weight loss also doesn't work, especially when it comes to motivation and consistency and that long term again. So what does work? And what we know works is approaches like mindful eating. So instead of following a rigid diet that has specific food rules or these external measures of success, like how many calories or how much weight have I lost, it's about saying, okay, what does my body need to feel its best? What food makes me feel my best? How do I understand my hunger cues so that I can eat when I'm hungry? And then also understand what fullness looks and feels like so that I can stop eating when I'm full. How do I regulate my emotional nervous system? How do I regulate my emotions on my nervous system in order to meet my emotional needs and to feel satisfied and nourished from like a soul life perspective so that I'm not turning to food to cope with, unpleasant emotions. So it's learning those things and shifting our approach to movement and shifting our approach to how we accept and value our bodies that again is based on this understanding of the science and psychology of dieting and intentional weight loss. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I have so many more questions, but I think it's time to just switch things a little bit and let's play a game right now.
All right, I'm in.
So one of the games that I have planned is called The Last Time You, right?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions. It's from a relationship perspective, so you can either answer it if you don't have any answer for yourself, if you observed it with someone else, any answer is okay. And then we will try and pick out what stories come to your mind for those
Okay.
questions. Okay? So let me just set this up.
Sounds good.
Okay. Now, if you do end up answering all the questions, you have an opportunity where you will get to pick the title for this episode, and you get full control of what this episode is going to be aired as. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. This is going to be fun. Okay. Here we go. The last time you apologized first, what happened and why did it matter?
So the last time I apologized first in a relationship, so it's with my current partner, we were having, I feel like so many people will be able to relate to this. We were having an argument about the dishes.
Of course. Of course.
And he was requesting me to do like a really small and simple change. He wanted me to just, I think it was like he was asking me to soak some of the dishes more often before he does do a lot of the dishes in the house. So he was asking me to soak them if I was putting them in the sink. And I got a little, I don't want to say defensive because it wasn't coming from a place of anger or anything like that. It was more like I felt like I had let him down. And he had a really great response in the moment. He said, he's like, I want to be able to communicate things to you that I want you to do differently or that I'm feeling unhappy about without making you feel like you're doing something wrong that makes you feel like you're not doing enough. And I thought about that, and he asked, he's like, is there a way that I can do that? And I was like, you know what? I'm really sorry for making you feel like you can't express these things to me, and that's something that I need to work on. So that was the last time I apologized first.
That's such an incredible story, and I love the response your partner gave. That was awesome.
I know.
So
I have
awesome.
to give credit to him. He can be incredibly emotionally intelligent in ways that I really need.
I feel that's what makes our partners right for us, when you know, okay, they just bring that balance in.
And I've never been with somebody like he is able to do, where he de-escalates my emotion. A lot of relationships that I've been in, like you kind of keep one-upping each other, versus he's always like, somehow like he makes me feel like, let's chill. And I'm like, oh, I need that in my life. I need more chill in my life. So
Perfect. Okay, here's the next question. The last time you felt completely misunderstood in a relationship, how did you handle it?
Oh, you know what? I think this is going to be a question that is focused on my ex-husband. I still feel like to this day that that's a relationship where I was really misunderstood, and we just couldn't get to that communication piece, right? Where he felt constantly criticized and I constantly felt like I wasn't being heard or that my needs weren't being met. As far as how I handled it, well, I guess you could technically say the divorce was part of that. But on a more personal level, I had to really become okay with being misunderstood and accepting that in that particular relationship, we just weren't ever going to see eye to eye. And I had to be okay with knowing that there's somebody out there that maybe isn't a big fan of mine or isn't able to understand where I'm coming from or doesn't see me accurately. And that can't change how I feel about myself. And it can't change, or I can't let it change who I am. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so beautiful. The last time you surprised your partner, what did you do?
Ooh, the last time I surprised my partner. That's a good question. When was the last time I surprised my partner? This makes me feel like I don't surprise him enough. So this is maybe some inspiration of like I should plan a little surprise for him. I think it was probably something very small. Usually when I surprise things, it's like I went to the grocery store and I bought, actually, that's probably what it was. I went to the grocery store and bought him some of his favorite chocolate that he didn't ask for and wasn't anticipating. And I like, that's a big way that I show love. Those tiny little gifts of like, oh, I know you like this thing. I'm going to pick it up from the store for you.
That's so sweet. Is there a favorite chocolate that you pick out for him?
He is a Maltesers fan, so he likes those little chocolate malt balls. So I
Oh,
often,
nice.
if I'm gonna get them for him, I'll get him the like family size pack.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. That's so cool. The last time you doubted your worth in love, what triggered it?
Truthfully, I feel like that's where even in that simple moment of him communicating to me about the dishes, it triggered a lot. Like my childhood trauma and my childhood upbringing has really created a narrative in me that I've had to work on as an adult of like that I'm not worthy of love, that I'm undeserving of love, or that I'm difficult to love. And so I'm working on recognizing when that when that story is taking over and kind of dictating how I show up in relationships, and being confident enough and trying to remind myself that I can be both a flawed human and need to respond to criticism or show up differently, or I can let my partner down or hurt his feelings or whatever it is, and at the same time still be worthy of love and worthy of being in a loving relationship with somebody. So I know it's like kind of cheating in that it's the same answer as another question, but
That's okay.
that probably was the last time that I had that knee-jerk reaction of like, oh no, he's not going to love me anymore. I'm not worthy of love because I didn't soak the dishes. Which sounds
It's
so
crazy.
silly to say out
I
loud,
know,
but
right? I know, right?
yeah,
It's these moments where you're like, if I speak it out loud, it's gonna sound so ridiculous,
I know,
but
but
it's
in
what
your
we all
head,
go through. Yeah,
yeah,
it's all
in your
what
head,
we.
it feels so real.
Yeah, these little things just trigger off a certain aspect of us, and we need to take all our life unlearning those things. And I feel like life is a journey of learning and unlearning consistently, because you're learning
Absolutely.
something new and you're unlearning all your old stuff.
Yeah. And I use the word in a lot of the work that I do, I use the word relearning as well. Because
Yeah.
many of the times, like when we're little in our bodies, we often feel so great and at home, and we love ourselves, and we feel connected to our intuition and our voice and our thoughts. But we kind of unlearn that along the way, and we let these other stories come in. So we gotta like relearn that connection as adults.
Yeah. 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 Okay, last one.
Okay.
Think of a moment where you felt safe. When was it the last time that you felt that? And what made that moment special?
I feel like this is revealing that a key part of like my heart and feeling loved is through food. There was a moment, I think it was even just last week, where because I work in fitness, it means that a lot of the time I work evenings, and I am teaching late night classes or classes after work, which is when people want to work out. And it means that most of the time I'm not done until after dinner. So there was a night where my partner had taken it upon himself to not just cook dinner, but came up with this like kind of over the top recipe. It was like lasagna stuffed peppers. And
Nice.
I was so impressed because he didn't tell me that he was doing it. He made it a surprise. So he's clearly better at the surprise thing than I am. And I had come out after like a long day after teaching. I had taught 3 classes that night. And I came out and I was so tired, and it was just there waiting for me. And I felt so seen and heard in those moments of like he had taken such time and care to express his love for me in a very simple act, that he knew that it was going to make me feel really taken care of and make my night easier and make my life better. So that was the last time I felt really like
That is so
seen.
sweet. That's so incredible.
Right? And
Love
it's those
it.
small things too. It's those, as we said, it's those small things that make us feel loved too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering it so honestly and so candidly. And we will sync up offline on the kind of titles we can work with.
Okay, sounds good. I
That'll
won.
be fun. Hopping back into the conversation we were having, how does someone recognize that there is a poor body image culture in their relationship?
Ooh, yeah. I think it's when you spend more time worrying about your body, or in that self-objectification place where you're thinking about how other people might perceive you and your body, rather than focusing on your own experience. So like your own desires, your own thoughts, your own feelings. If you're spending a lot of time focused on what other people might think, that's a really big red flag that there's something there that can be healed. And that I don't want to say that it's not normal, because it is very normal, because that's how so many of us are taught growing up to perceive ourselves and our bodies. So it is very normal and common, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's what I want to say, is from a not normal standpoint, is it doesn't have to be that way. That's a very painful place to live. Right. That's filled with a lot of shame and self-criticism and self-loathing. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it really creates a block of being able to show up in relationships, because rather than showing up authentically, rather than communicating or even understanding your own needs, your own desires, rather than even being present in the moment of being able to really show up as you are, you're so kind of trapped in that negative self-talk or that doubt or those insecurities. So it kind of prevents you from being able to fully love and also be loved authentically.
It's so true. Whenever I have been in this cycle of, I'm judging my body. If I had to really think about it, I'm looking at my own body and judging it, right? But I learned to judge it that way through someone else's voice.
Yes.
So I heard someone else, or I saw someone else judging themselves that way. And then I assumed, for me, it was probably parents, right? And I assumed that's how I needed to judge myself. That's how I needed to look at myself. And that was the version I needed to head towards. So, yeah, if you are judging yourself, that's the first red sign. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. What do you say when you look at yourself in the mirror? But secondly, if there's a spouse listening to this right now, or if there's a partner listening to this right now, what are things that you recommend they should stop saying right now?
When we're talking about from that spouse and partner perspective, it's really the best advice I can give is which I know feels hard in like really personal, intimate relationships, but honestly, like not commenting on someone's body as much as possible. So it feels very, I'm going to use the word counterintuitive, because there's so much in our society that praises things like weight loss. We're supposed to compliment weight loss. We're supposed to celebrate weight loss. But when we compliment and celebrate weight loss, we're constantly reaffirming the message that, again, what we've said, smaller is better, smaller is more desirable, or the message that validates and affirms that person's insecurities of like, oh, I didn't look good before. So not commenting on people's bodies from that lens, and trying to also not police other people's choices. Like when it comes to the food that's on our plate, when it comes to the choice of whether or not we're working out, that really trying to notice those times when that judgment is creeping in, and refraining from like really giving your partner body autonomy, and coming from the standpoint of, I'm going to decide that my partner knows what is best for their body, that my partner can make these decisions, and that my job is to be supportive of that, to help enable that as much as possible. And so choosing language, choosing to celebrate things that are not necessarily as focused on how your partner looks. I mean, we all like to hear compliments on how we look, but nothing specific about their body, or just saying, I love your body, I appreciate your body, celebrating what their body can do, again, celebrating how they're able to show up, not necessarily just commenting on how their body looks, I think would be my best advice.
I was just listening to what you were saying, and I was thinking, what would happen if the opposite happened? So let's say you have a partner who is focused on losing their weight, and they're in the space without, like, there's no judgment. They're in the space where they feel like they need to get to this specific weight, specific way of looking. And they come and tell you that, I've lost so much weight. This is incredible, right? Now, as a partner, you're in a position where let's say you don't want to promote that kind of thought process, but you're also in the place where this person's looking for validation for something they've achieved, and understandably, like they've worked towards it, and it's awesome what they're trying to achieve. It's great that they're on that journey for whatever reason, like from their perspective. It's awesome. How do you handle that? Because you're in this two-pronged situation.
Yeah, you don't want to discourage your partner, but you also don't want to encourage things that necessarily don't align. I think there are really subtle ways that you can do this. And this goes for handling any kind of weight loss conversation, whether it's your partner or your friend or your coworker or what have you. A really small, subtle shift is to, rather than validate or compliment or engage in conversation about the weight loss itself, is to shift the conversation about how that person feels. So if they're saying, oh my God, I lost 10 pounds. I feel, I'm so proud of myself, etc. Rather than saying, oh my God, that's great, congratulations, you can say, oh wow, how does that make you feel? Or I'm so happy that you're feeling better. So that's one way. Or the other way is to focus on the actions. So you can say things like, I'm really proud of you that you're taking time to focus on taking care of yourself. I'm really proud of you for the way that you've been working out lately, or how consistent you've been with your workouts. To focus on the actions and the behaviors rather than the weight loss itself can be where you can kind of find that balance of that tricky line. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there may be, like, I was just thinking in the first scenario, there may be some people who don't like a question back, because if they're looking for validation from outside and then you ask them to validate themselves, it's like, why did I come to you? But in the second scenario, I like it where it's you're actually noticing something really valuable, and it's still in line with what they found was incredible. So it kind of complements what they are looking for. And I feel like that would work really well in that situation. This is such an incredible conversation. How does someone know so let's say they are in the body positive space, How does someone know that whether, let's say they have put on weight, they are in a bigger size, right? Are they in the situation where they need to pay attention and lose that fat, or it's just they're healthy, it's certain hormonal changes, everything's fine, it's just that situation has changed? How do they figure this out? Because I can imagine, like, see, I'm not a woman, and it's very hard for me to place myself in that, but I know that it's much more complicated from a hormonal perspective for women and females, right? So there's such nuance in what happens. How does someone figure that out?
Such a great question. And I think a really important conversation as well, because I think that that's the question that so many people want to get at is and almost usually the caveat that gets placed on body positivity is like, well, yes, I believe in body positivity, but I also want to be healthy.
Yeah.
So how I normally invite people to consider this conversation is to separate the weight from the health. And what I mean by that is there are so many ways that we can take care of ourselves and ensure that we're making choices from that place of wanting to take care of our bodies and be healthy and feel our best, that don't equate health with weight. So for example, let's say if someone says to me, a common phrase that we might often use is, "Oh, I feel really fat." And my response to that is to kind of get curious and to say, okay, what are you actually feeling? Because most of the time we use fat as a synonym for something else. So maybe what you mean in that time is, I feel bloated. I feel unmotivated. I feel lazy. I feel low energy. So these are all things that are more at the root of what we're feeling that kind of get thrown under the overall arching umbrella of the weight of the fat. Once we identify some of those root feelings, then we can say, okay, let's focus again on the behavior and choices that we can make that will make you feel better. And it's that kind of acceptance piece of, once I'm choosing the behavior, my body will respond in the way that it feels best. So if, let's say, for example, I'm not feeling motivated to work out, which means I'm leading a really sedentary lifestyle. Okay, that probably doesn't make you feel your best. So let's focus on how can we help you feel joy when it comes to movement? How can we help you feel inspired to move? How can we choose movement that makes you feel really good? And once we do that and you're moving consistently, absolutely you're going to feel better. And if you lose weight, great, that's what your body feels best. Or maybe it's just accepting that the weight isn't going to change, but you're still going to be feeling better in your body because you're moving. And that can be applied to food. It can be applied to sleep or any kind of behavioral changes. It's like, okay, let's separate the weight from it, because we know that if I'm making decisions of like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I'm focused on weight loss, that's where, again, that psychology and that research piece kicks in of we know that is really demotivating for people, that it creates a lot of shame and this really push towards these external measures of success, which don't work in the long run. So if we're feeling that piece of like, okay, but I don't feel good, I don't feel healthy, it's like, okay, let's focus on the behaviors that we know will make a marked difference, that we know will get you the results that you're looking for. And then accepting that our body, the size and shape of our body is often really dictated by genetics, our socioeconomic status, where we live, how walkable our city is, all these kind of factors that are often outside of our control. So can we still feel worthy at any size and shape? Can we work on that mindset piece while we're maybe also working on some of those health promoting behaviors?
Right. So what I'm hearing is someone who, let's say they seem to be in a bigger body. It doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy.
Absolutely, yeah.
The way to measure it is either you go get certain blood tests done or certain tests done to check if there's something going on, or you have to see if this is something else under the umbrella. Are you trying to put it under a blanket of, I don't feel motivated, just tired. And so I must have, put on weight. This weight is the reason it's this. Are you sure that's the reason? Are you sure that this is what is leading to it? So that's what I'm just processing this as you're telling me, as just a person who's listening to this completely fresh.
Yeah. And a lot of the times we get that mistake of like that the weight is being seen as the cause, when in reality it's kind of more of a correlation. So even I get this, for example, that a lot of the times we think of, well, as we talked about, like I have less energy when I'm in a bigger body, or I have more aches and pains when I'm in a bigger body. My first question is often, what corresponded? What's also happening in your life that maybe corresponded with the weight gain or the change in your body shape? That likely is most of the time the actual cause of how you're feeling, and it's not the weight itself. And it's just like my own story and what I experienced. I was feeling not enough. So I thought changing my weight would fix that. And in reality was I needed to address the reasons why I wasn't feeling enough. And that didn't relate to a specific body size, because I ended up being really small and still not feeling enough.
Right.
So now there were other changes that I made that made me feel great. Like, for example, like learning how to move my body consistently. That absolutely was a health promoting behavior. But again, I'm still doing that now at a larger size. I still move my body every single day. So it's separating out the two that can make things a lot easier, a lot less filled with shame, and you're able to have a lot more open conversations when you're like, okay, let's actually talk about what's going on. Let's explore how we're feeling. And I will admit it's a harder conversation in the sense of like, most of us want that quick fix, right? Where we can easily say, okay, if I lose the 10 pounds, that's an easy way to know that I'm going to feel better. But it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And the harder path is also the much more worthwhile path of it's going to get you feeling the way that you want to feel. And it's going to be that real answer.
Awesome. Okay. So I was thinking maybe this is a great time to have some more fun. So we'll play a simple game. And at the end of that game, you're going to get to speak about your free resource that you're giving to your audience. And that should be fun. So it's a very simple question that I have for you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Name 3 pieces of emotional baggage that you've carried into relationships and how you've dealt with them. And I call this game baggage claim.
Oh, okay. 3 pieces of baggage. One, I'll say the body piece was definitely a big piece of baggage that I carried into many of my relationships, was feeling not enough or self-conscious in my body that I had to really work through. And I would say this current relationship is the only one that I didn't bring that baggage with me. I had kind of worked on my own to learn how to love myself and feel enough in my body. So I wasn't dependent on my partner for validating that. That's number 1. I would say I had some anger issues that does that count as a baggage like that?
Of course.
I had, with my own mental health struggles, one of the things that comes to the forefront is I had a lot of anxiety. And that often would translate into anger. That was my response when I felt uncomfortable or when I was feeling attacked or when I wasn't feeling enough. It would often come out as anger. And I had to I read a lot about anger management. I have gone through multiple therapies of like distress tolerance groups and learning dialectical behavioral therapy of ways that I can respond to my emotions that don't necessarily involve anger, or how to understand my anger as far as what it's trying to tell me and where is it coming from so that I can get to the root of the issue. So that's, I would say, is number 2. And number 3 is my childhood story of, again, that I'm undeserving of love or that I'm a bad person, which is still, I would say that's the main one that is still coming with me. That's still that I still have to claim as my baggage. That's a really deeply ingrained childhood story that I think, has taken lots of therapy. I've worked with other coaches, that my partners have also really helped to work on me undoing and kind of piecing through. But so much of it is your own individual work of learning how to understand the story, learning how to understand my parents and why they made the choices that they did and where they were coming from, so that I can really start to let go and form a new story for myself.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And
welcome.
please speak about, the 30-minute call that people will get if they click on the link that I'll be attaching.
Yeah, so I love to offer as kind of a free resource in my way of giving back to the community is I love to offer free 30-minute confidence calls. And in this call, it's a private call with me. We can identify kind of like what we've been talking about, the 3 areas where they feel the most stuck, where they're kind of facing those barriers to feeling the way that they want to feel in their bodies, and come up with a really strategic action plan of how they can move forward and start seeing real change in their life and have actionable, tangible steps that they can take right now, starting right now. So there is an application, which is going to be what the link is. And the reason that there's an application is because it's a 30-minute call. So I want to make the most of those 30 minutes. So if they tell me a little bit about themselves first, then I can make sure to show up and really give them the best advice that I can.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, make sure to check it out. As you can see, she's incredible with confidence, and I love
thank you.
the kind of energy she has. Final question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to give people three tangible action steps to shift their body confidence today, what would you give them?
Ooh, there's so many I could pick from. The first is it's a mindset shift, and that is the idea of getting curious. So when you have various thoughts, especially those shoulds, when we're shoulding all over ourselves, getting curious and starting to ask the question of, where did this thought come from? Where did this story come from? Is it helping or is it harming me? And is it my own? As you talked about too, a lot of the beliefs we have, a lot of the stories that we have were given to us by other people, whether it's through their opinions or what we were taught growing up. So when we start to get curious, that's a great way of creating the space for something else. When we get curious and ask those questions, we're starting to undo those narratives, which can create the space for replacing things like with self-love and respect and confidence. The second is practicing being with your mirror, which I know seems a little counterintuitive because it's like, oh, we're talking about like not emphasizing how we look. So a mirror practice is where we spend time purposely looking at ourselves in the mirror and practicing separating out those judgment thoughts of being able to just be with ourselves in the mirror and not pick at what we feel like are the flaws, not think of all the ways that we don't feel good enough, but practicing just being there in the space of non-judgment. And the third one, I mean, I'm a fitness gal, so I'm gonna include a fitness tip as well. Learning how to be joyful with movement. I feel like fitness is a really great piece for your confidence. And when you're able to shift into that relationship of feeling strong in your body, feeling capable of your body, focusing on what your body can do wonders for your confidence. So starting to explore what kinds of movement make you feel that way? What kind of movement brings you joy? What kind of movement allows you to play? And then really trying to prioritize and incorporate that into your regular self-care routine will make a huge difference.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for your time today. This has been
Thanks so
such an
much.
incredible conversation, and I had so much fun with it. I genuinely Loved the conversation. And I hope a lot of people watch it and really enjoy everything you've spoken about.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it too.